Hello everyone, we continue with Chapter 3, Part 2. Huh? Is it morning already? The sun was peeking through the window, and outside I could hear twitters and chirps of birdsong. Oh, right. The room I was in wasn't mine. It took me a moment to remember whose room it was, and then all the events of the previous night crowded back into my memory. I saw vividly the man who'd gone mad with bloodlust, felt the sting as his sword bit into my arm. I got cut. I looked down at my arm. I'd wrapped it in bandages the night before, after insisting that I could handle it myself, being the daughter of a doctor. Slowly I lifted it, then moved it in a circle. The cut had bled a lot, but fortunately it hadn't been particularly deep. I moved my arm some more. It didn't hurt. It bled so much, though. With deliberate care, I unwrapped the bandages. Of course, what had been an ugly open wound the night before was now little more than a faint white line. In a few days, even that would be gone. Well, I guess it's good that the wound is gone, but if anyone sees this... After some thought, I rewrapped the bandages. Unless they took them off, no one would know that my arm was completely healed underneath. That reminded me, however, how were they doing? I was awake, so I figured I might as well go out to the common room and see if anyone was there. As I neared the entrance, Itou appeared on his way out. Heisuke and Saito followed in his wake, much to my confusion. "Good morning." "Oh, it's you. Good morning," said Itou. "I'm glad to see you safe and sound." Thank you." His mood was almost the polar opposite of the previous night. He seemed now to be in rather high spirits. "Has something happened?" Oh, would you like to know?" said Itou. "Yes." "I won't tell you." Ha 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 ha. Well, you'll learn soon enough. "Isn't that right, Todo? Saito?" "What?" I cocked an eyebrow at Heisuke and Saito. "Yeah, I guess," said Todo. The moment our eyes met, he looked away. That seemed odd. Saito?" You have no need for this information just now," said Saito. Unlike his companion, Saito met my gaze straight on, but his eyes were flat and utterly devoid of any emotion. We should go, Itou," said Saito. "Oh, yeah, see ya, Chizuru," said Todo. And then they were gone, leaving me wondering just what had happened. "Are you sure it's all right for you to be up and about already?" asked Inoue. Inoue and Shimada looked up as soon as I stepped into the common room. "I'm fine. I slept really well and I feel a lot better." "That's great," said Shimada. "I'm sorry about what happened to you, though. Does your cut hurt?" "Oh, well, actually it wasn't very deep. It barely hurts at all." I couldn't tell him the truth, of course, that it was already almost completely healed. Oh, I ran into Itou on my way in. Did something happen? Ah, so you saw them, eh? Said Inoue. He frowned. He said something weird, and Heisuke and Saito were acting kind of strange too. Yeah, said Shimada. Well, Itou and some others are leaving. They're going to form a new group, different from the Shinsengumi, said Inoue. What? Is that okay? He had a meeting this morning with the chief and Commander Hijikata, said Shimada. Guardians of the Imperial tomb? Said Kondo. The Guardians of the Imperial tomb is an organization that guarded the Emperor's tomb, and it was formed by Itou after his departure from the Shinsengumi. Yes, said Itou. I intend to take some of my comrades and leave. We will be appointed official guardians of the Imperial Mausoleum. I have been considering such a move for some time now, but after last night's excitement, I felt this was the right time. I knew when I joined the Shinsengumi that my imperialism might not be welcome, but I thought we could work past that. I see now that I was mistaken. Just spit it out, Itou, said Hijikata. You want to split up the Shinsengumi. Call it what you like, said Itou, but I can no longer remain in the company of such savages as yourself. If you insist, said Kondo, then I will do as you ask. You must remember, however, that last night's incident is a result of orders from the shogunate. We cannot allow you to reveal this secret, said Kondo. Then I propose a deal. Allow me to depart peacefully, and in turn I will remain silent. I also wish to bring several of your men with me. Very well, said Kondo, but anyone you wish to take must agree to leave. Of course, said Itou. I will naturally maintain the fiction that we intend to continue to cooperate with one another. A stance that will no doubt benefit both of us, said Itou. Cooperation, fine, said Kondo. Toshi, what do you think? It's your decision, not mine, said Hijikata. Then Heisuke and Saito? Yes, said Inoue, they are leaving with Itou. I confess I'm rather surprised. No. Then would that mean I could never see them again? Don't worry, said Kondo. Remember what I said? We're going to keep relations amicable between our two organizations. Kondo. It was kind of him to try and comfort me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was going to befall the Shinsengumi and its members. You aren't going to let the men interact with the guard, though, right? Said Inoue. The expression on his face was likely a mirror of my own. Of course not, said Hijikata. He gets to leave, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna let him get away with whatever he wants. But is this really okay? Itou and the others leaving, I mean? Itou and his men leaving isn't a problem, said Hijikata. Hijikata's voice was flat but unconcerned. although I was a little surprised that Heisuke and Saito decided to go with that snake, said Hijikata. I would say it was more than a little, said Kondo. From there the conversation moved on to a discussion of politics and the like that was beyond my ability to follow. And what could I have said anyway? The decision had already been made, and there was nothing I could have said to change it. I got up quietly and left the common room. I never thought something like this could happen. I was especially worried about, and the choice here is, the guard or the soldiers. And I'm going with I was especially worried about the soldiers. What about the feelings of those who were being left behind? I wanted to know how the people in the Shinsengumi felt about Itou and his followers leaving. I decided to ask, and here's another choice, someone high-ranking, or someone neutral, or someone close to the people who were leaving. And I'm going to ask someone high-ranking. The heads of the Shinsengumi seemed like the best people to ask, but they were all still talking in the common room. Perhaps I should wait a bit until they were done. Almost as if on cue, Hijikata appeared in the hallway. "Oh, hello, Hijikata." Shouldn't you be resting?" he asked. "Oh, I feel a lot better now." "Your dad's a doctor and you know a little about medicine, but that doesn't mean you're invulnerable. Go back to your room and try not to run around too much." "Okay, I'll be careful." It was easy to forget one had suffered a significant injury when it healed almost completely by morning. "I'll go right back to my room, but can I ask you something first?" What?" "It's about Itou and the people who are leaving with him. How do you feel about all that?" What do you mean?" said Hijikata. "Well, people who were members of the Shinsengumi won't be." "We were allies yesterday, but if our positions change, we could be enemies tomorrow. That's life." No wonder they called him the demon. His voice was cold, calculating, and utterly flat. But what about Saito and Heisuke? They had all been captains together. Surely Hijikata saw them as friends at least. "Saito and Todo. It's going to be rough to lose a pair of skilled swordsmen, yes. But think about the future," said Hijikata. "If they're leaving, they had some problem with the Shinsengumi. Better they leave now than before that problem gets worse." How could he be so cold and analytical about his friends? On the other hand, his logic made sense. If Itou and company were leaving because they were incompatible with the Shinsengumi, then perhaps it was for the best. But was the best thing for the future of the Shinsengumi also the best thing for Hijikata? I couldn't understand. My wound healed completely soon afterward, but I kept the bandages on. I got plenty of questions about how I was recovering, but the best I could do was nod, smile, and assure them that I was fine. The truth was, I didn't even have a scar. I couldn't have pointed out where on my arm I'd been cut if someone had asked me. When Itou and his followers, now the guardians of the Imperial tomb, left, the compound seemed suddenly very empty. I felt like the Shinsengumi was falling apart around me, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Was this nothing more than a natural result of the Shinsengumi's growth, or the harbinger of something far greater and more terrible? July 1867. I should go to sleep, as if chiding myself would help. My mind was wide awake. I wasn't falling asleep any time soon. But why? I was nervous, certainly, and I trained earlier that day, but neither of those was anything new. I needed to get to sleep soon, or I'd oversleep in the morning, and that would be embarrassing. As I forced my eyes shut for the 1000th time, I heard the door to my room slide open. "Are you awake?" "Yes." The voice outside belonged to Hijikata. I scrambled to my feet. What is it?" "You have a visitor," said Hijikata. "A visitor? Who could come to visit me?" You'll see. Hurry up." Right." I shuffled down the hallway after him and burst into the common room. Kondo, Okita, Harada, Nagakura, all of the top men in the Shinsengumi were there, and so was someone else. "Hello, Chizuru. How are you doing?" said Sen. Sen? My visitor was Sen? We'd met in Kyoto proper some time ago. She was near my age, but had a unique and overwhelming personality which had allowed her to see right through my disguise. But why had she come to the Shinsengumi? Only then did I notice a beautiful woman dressed as a ninja seated next to Sen. "Oh yes, she is with me, my bodyguard, one might say." Bodyguard? That answered nothing and only prompted more questions. The captains kept silent, content to simply observe our conversation. Whatever was about to transpire, it seemed they intended to leave the decision to me. "So, Sen, why are you here?" "I've come to take you," said Sen. That had not been on the short list I'd begun to compile of reasons Sen had sought my company in the middle of the night. A quick glance around the room revealed that it had not been on anyone else's either. Pardon? I don't understand what you're saying." "No, what you don't understand is the situation," said Sen. "But you needn't worry. You do trust me, don't you?" I certainly didn't suspect her of anything untoward, but... There's no time. We must make preparations to leave immediately." Silent until that moment, the woman at Sen's elbow finally spoke. Wait, hold on. Why should I go with you?" "Yeah, that's a damn good question," said Nagakura. "You just barge in here, ask to see her, and spring this on us. I think it's about time you told us what the hell's going on here." "Please, Sen," I said. I didn't let my gaze waver from her eyes. "Yes, I do suppose you have a point," said Sen. "Very well, I shall begin at the beginning." She cast her gaze around the room. This explanation was not simply for my benefit. You are familiar with Kazama, yes? Asked Sen. I hear you have crossed swords with him once or twice. How do you know that? Asked Hijikata. Well, I hear of most things that happen in Kyoto. Eventually, said Sen. You're something like Kazama and his punks, aren't you? Said Hijikata. I would rather prefer not to be associated with his ilk, said Sen. But yes, in a sense, you are correct. Fine, said Hijikata. You were talking about Kazama. He showed up at Ikedaya, Hamaguri, and Nijo, said Harada. He's got something to do with Satsuma and Choshu, doesn't he? Well, said Okita, most of the time it seemed more like he was there for his own reasons, not any kind of domain politics. Either way, he's an enemy of the Shinsengumi, said Hijikata. Then you are also aware that he is pursuing your lady friend here? Asked Sen. Sen gestured at me for the captain's benefit, then fixed me with a level stare. What was going on? This was getting stranger and stranger, and I was starting to think I didn't really want to know the rest of the story. We are aware of that, said Kondo. We are also aware that Kazama and his compatriots call themselves demons. Not that we're inclined to believe such a claim, of course. Regardless, said Sanan, we must consider it. They have demonstrated several times that they have strength and skill beyond any human. Said Okita. Guess you'd know, Sanan? The room grew slightly more uncomfortable. I didn't think Okita had meant to offend with his remarks, but... So, go on, Sen, I said. Then you know they are demons. Excellent. That will save me some time, then. I am not a human either, said Sen. I am also a demon. A demon? Sen was a demon? I am, in fact, a princess. Princess Sen. With that she gave us an elegant bow, exactly like what one might expect from a princess. I come from a family of ninja who have served Princess Sen and her family for generations, said the other woman. I'd wondered why you were being so friendly, said Hijikata. You were gathering information on the Shinsengumi. I have no idea what you mean, said the ninja lady. She tilted her head to the side politely and met Hijikata's glare with an innocent smile. You know her, said Nagakura. Move your eyes up about 6 inches, Shinpachi, said Harada. That's Kimi-giku. She's dressed a little different from when we met her at Shimabara, but that's her face all right. And of course we met Kimi-giku in an earlier episode as a courtesan. What? Nagakura nearly fell over in shock. After recovering, he made a great show of staring pointedly at Kimi-giku's face. For his effort he received a smile identical to the one Hijikata had received. We demons have lived in this country since a very long time ago, said Princess Sen. The top officials in the shogunate and in many of the domains already know of us. It was still something of a shock, but after meeting Kazama and his companions, it was somewhat easier to accept Sen's explanation as the truth. Most demons had no interest in human matters and preferred to be left alone, said Princess Sen, to go about their own affairs in peace. However, humans in positions of power saw that they might achieve great things with the assistance of demons, and so demanded that assistance. And did the demons obey? I asked. Many did not, said Princess Sen. They felt they had no obligation to involve themselves in human affairs. Human ambition meant nothing to them. But when they refused, the human lords were furious. They sent out great armies to destroy the villages of the demons. How horrible! Princess Sen continued. The demon clans scattered across the country and were perforce sent into hiding. No longer isolated in their own communities, demons began to mate with humans. These days, there are few demons who can claim a pure bloodline. And I assume Kazama is one of these? Asked Kondo. Sen nodded. Currently, the largest pure-blood family in the West is the Kazama, who have the support of the Satsuma domain, said Princess Sen. The head of that family you have already met, Chikage Kazama. Chikage Kazama, I muttered. In the East, the largest family is the Yukimura, said Princess Sen. What? I had heard the Yukimura family had been destroyed, said Princess Sen, but it would seem there is a survivor. That survivor is her. Chizuru, the blood that runs in your veins is pure and strong. I sense great power from you. No way! But... No, you are very much a demon, said Sen. I apologize, but there it is. The finality of her words brought a cold silence to the room. I had no desire to believe her story, but the more I thought back to events that had seemed utterly nonsensical, the more it made sense. Now I knew why Kazama was after me, and why I'd always healed so much more quickly than anyone else. If Chizuru is indeed the descendant of a pure-blooded demon, said Sen, then Kazama's desire for her is clear. Should two purebloods mate, they will produce an even more powerful demon. Ah, said Kondo, so he wants her for his bride. After a fashion, yes, said Princess Sen. Kazama will definitely return for her. Thus far he has been content to toy with you, but I cannot guess how much longer that may last. Should he devote all of his formidable abilities to this task, I do not think you will be able to protect her. Even the Shinsengumi cannot stand against the true power of a demon, said Princess Sen. Whoa there, Princess, said Nagakura. You don't think that's going a bit far? Shinpachi's right, said Harada. You aren't giving us enough credit. The only reason you are still alive is because Kazama and his companions have not turned their full strength on you, said Princess Sen. Then let them, said Sanan. I should dearly like to see the power of a true demon. Sanan! Kazama and his friends had already demonstrated incredible strength. Even the captains of the Shinsengumi had been easily brushed aside. If that was not even the full extent of their strength, then a battle to the death against one of them would be— Let me be clear, lady, said Hijikata. We're the Shinsengumi, the wolves of Mibu. We're not going to piss ourselves over a demon or two. Very true, said Okita. Besides, we've got the demon himself in command, don't we? Always have to have the last word, don't you? Said Hijikata. I understand how you feel, but, said Princess Sen, you must realize that these men are unlike any other foe you have faced before. That is why I must ask you to leave Chizuru to us. In our care, her chances of survival will be much higher. Hey, give us a chance, all right, said Nagakura. Are you trying to say we can't protect her? Besides, said Harada, what do you mean, chances? If you can't guarantee her safety, I don't see why we should hand her over to you. Look, lady, you're not part of the Shinsengumi, said Okita, so I'd appreciate it if you could keep your nose out of our business, all right? They had made it quite clear that they weren't interested in Sen's offer. Perhaps they'd been a little harsh, but I couldn't deny the warm feeling of being part of a family who was unwilling to let me go. What about you, Hijikata? Asked Kimigiku. You've acknowledged Kazama's strength. Surely you must at least consider the princess's offer. Please give Chizuru to us. That's different, said Hijikata. Kimigiku's smile froze. I don't know how strong our enemy really is, said Hijikata, but that doesn't change the fact that we'll protect her in the name of the Shinsengumi. Besides, you're a demon too. Why should we trust you? Do you know who you are speaking to? Asked Kimigiku. Princess Sen is a descendant of Suzuka Gozen. Suzuka Gozen was a female demon said to have lived on Suzuka Mountain. She fell in love with Tamura Maru Sakanue and went to live with him in Yase. Kimigiku, please, said Princess Sen. That is not necessary. Her tone was calm and friendly, but it left no room for argument. I agree with Hijikata, said Sanan. She should stay here with the Shinsengumi. Kimigiku glared at Sanan, but said nothing. I see, said Sen. That is a problem, then. There is no way I can convince you. Kondo had remained silent for most of the discussion, his arms folded in thought, but at last he spoke. Yukimura, what do you have to say about this? Me? Well, I see, said Kondo. It must be difficult to discuss with an audience. You ought to speak with Princess Sen alone. What the hell, Kondo? Said Hijikata. Hijikata wasn't the only one to object. Most of the room rose up in protest. There should be at least one witness, said Sanan. The princess may take Kimigiku as well, of course. No, that's not necessary, said Kondo. Kondo swept his gaze across the room. Yukimura has shown herself to be reasonable. I've no doubt she won't do anything foolish. Am I correct, Yukimura? Of course, I would never betray you, any of you. Well, if Kondo says so, said Okita. His words spoke for the rest of them as well. They might not like it, but Kondo was the chief. What he said went. You won't steal her away the moment the two of you are alone, will you? Asked Sanan. You needn't worry. I am not like Kazama, said Princess Sen. I'll be fine. Sen isn't a bad person, I said. Why, thank you, Chizuru, said Sen. She smiled.